Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this interesting panel. So what we have done, we have combined two panels of D2C and mergers and acquisitions and a lot of tie-ups happening in the retail space particularly. So before we get into the conversation mode, I'll give the mic to each of our panelists to just quickly introduce themselves in a minute. So I'll first come to you, Dave.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's awake. Good evening. Hi, my name is Griffith. I'm the owner and CEO of a company called Habanero Foods. We're into a lot of sauces, dips, wraps, and hot sauces, a range of condiments as well. And we are across around 95 to 100 cities in India today through quick commerce, e-commerce and retail. And we also export across the Middle East. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Akhil Jain. I am here representing the brand Madame. We are a design-to-shelf company operating own set of stores and working across large formats and marketplaces.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aparna Tyagarajan, co-founder of Shobhatam. I'm also the Chief Product Officer at Shobhatam. Shobhatam is into the space of ethnic fashion. All things artisanal, handmade, be it saris, blouses, jewelry. Now we're into 92.5 silver and home decor as well. And our business started off in the US. We're very different. And we are primarily international. So 80% of our audience, of our customer base is international. And we are slowly getting into India.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nishant Poddar, and I represent the brand called Wrong. Wrong is a men's casual wear brand, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer, and I also handle customer experience for the brand. And I'm here, good to be in the panel, happy to have a chat.
Hey, hi, my name is Gitansh. I am the founder for Rent Mojo. We are one of the largest furnishing solution in India, spanning across 22 cities, with over 2 lakh active subscribers today, managing close to about 600,000 items. Essentially, what we're trying to create is an alternative to purchase in a more urbanized world that we today live in. And that's what we're trying to create.
Thank you. So Akhil, I'll come to you first, and we know Madame as a women-focused fashion brand. So how are you leveraging collaborations in the current market to take up the brand level further?
Thank you so much, Punita. Cross collaborations in terms of, there are again multiple avenues that we've been using them. Licensing been one of those alliances, which is actually helping us see the brand has been there for almost 30 years. Exclusively, we've been there in the market for almost 2 decades now. So the consumer is ever changing, and if I want to get the consumer back on my store, it is okay. I already have a dress from you, already have denims from you. What next? What different, are you providing me? Okay, I said, okay, I'll come into non-apps, I'll give you footwear, I'll give you sunglasses, I'll give you everything. And still the customer comes back to me and says, Acha, Akhil, what next? What is there to offer me? So we went into the journey of, using brand licensing in the last 5 years. And that, helps us, create those flash collections for the consumer to come in. Alternatively, we've also started, tying up with, so for example, we've tied up with the Maharaja Loyalty of Air India as collab with them. Again, so we are, as a brand, we are just trying to leverage on, the other avenues. Cross promotions we've been doing since beginning as a retailer. So probably you have maybe say a salon in the same mall, for example, and you think that, the TG of that mall and my store is similar. So why don't we get into a cross collaboration with those retail touch points also? So for us, it's been a beautiful journey, and now though we actually have targets in the company to earn revenue out of those collaborations as well.
So Nishant, I'll come to you also because you are again working with the brand wherein the celeb is actually leading all the way. So how does that help a brand in a space which is quite cluttered and clothing particularly?
Sure. Let me take a step back and just give everyone an understanding as to how did we go about, fixing why do we have Virat as the face of the brand. We started with the brand ethos, making a brand bible or docket of sort, and tried fitting in, who fits the bill. About 12 years ago, back then, Yuvraj Singh, India had won the World Cup. Yuvraj Singh was the man of the series. Dhoni was, really, high, like how. But we realized that, there was one character who really fitted what the brand stood for. I mean, it was Virat. He stood and checked all the boxes. Back then, Wrong was considered to be, doing something really wrong, right? He stood out, he spoke his mind, he never bothered about what others thought about it. He stood for himself, he stood for the individual. Back then, tattoo was not a norm. Then, I mean, he clearly stood out. Ear piercing was not a norm. He started doing that. He started, sporting beard for that matter. And now you would see all the players in India, are, virtually imbibing that. So it started with that. Now, once we got him on board, we always had that notion saying that, a celebrity could be a clutter breaker. He could be a differentiator just to ensure that the product is seen. But the rest of the story has to be led by the product itself. Consumer would not pay that extra penny from their pocket unless and until the product has that viability. And it is true for any industry or any product that is getting offered. So we always thought that Virat, or rather any celebrity, will be used to tell the story what the brand stands for. And till date, we have been using that. Not a single imagery of ours or communication would have Virat the cricketer. We wanted to showcase Virat off the field as a personality who he is off the field. And till date, we have stuck to our notion and we will continue doing so. But the matter of fact is, the celebrity is just a clutter breaker. It's a great collab to have, but the talking has to be done by the great product offering, pricing it right, and the rest of the customer service.
Okay, interesting. Aparna, I'll come to you because you also have Vidya Balan as your brand ambassador, and again, a beautiful brand of saris, and you've been able to create a mark for yourself in a space which is either traditional or just continues to be focused with legacy brands. So how did that celeb collaboration work for you?
Good question, and I agree with the points that you mentioned. So having a celebrity definitely is a clutter breaker because it helps you stand out. And I think we were very, very thoughtful about who we wanted to be our brand ambassador. Because at Shobhatam, our brand ethos is about all things handmade. Now, this is an industry where there are a lot of counterfeit products, right? You will see a lot of saris being woven elsewhere in power looms, polyester being branded as Banarsis and Kanjivarams. So we really, really wanted to differentiate our offerings in terms of authenticity, in terms of designs. Now, she is a global icon. Shobhatam is a global brand. We are 80% international. And she stands for the cause of women. She stands for the cause of weavers. She stands for the cause of handmade. So there were a lot of shared synergies, which is why we felt like, she was the perfect person, going beyond just looking graceful in a sari. So that's the reason why, we chose her. And she's worked out really, really well for us.
Okay. Griffith, coming to you, we just discussed offline how from the restaurant space you further got into the condiments and sauces space, and that too again working through the D2C way. So how did you navigate your way, and how is the brand shaped up in the D2C segment?
Thank you. The pandemic was a major game changer for us. When retail stores were shut, people had nowhere else to go, and they started looking online. And at that time, just a year before the pandemic started, we had put up some of our restaurant-based products that were very popular in our restaurants. We had bottled salsas, we had pasta sauces, we had some wraps, and we were playing around on Big Basket and Amazon. And the pandemic happens, everything shut, and suddenly our sales just shot up in these platforms. And so it was a big revelation for me, and we took a step back and we realized that this is a major, major space. So we started pivoting slowly, and we have around 25 SKUs right now. We are in all the e-commerce, quick commerce platforms like Blinkit, Zepto, Big Basket, BB Now, Instamart, all the different platforms. And it's been a really interesting journey in the last 3-4 years post-pandemic, because shopping habits have dramatically changed. I'm sure all of us here shop on quick commerce today, or e-commerce, right? I mean, our patterns have completely changed. The retail environment itself has changed. I think the large retail stores are still successful. People want to go and touch and feel, but I think unfortunately the mid-level stores are getting hit, because if you want to buy your basic stuff like your oat milk or your eggs or your milk or whatever, you're going on quick commerce. Even products that we have, like our pasta sauces, our dips, wraps and all that, where else can you pick up something in 5 minutes, right? So that's a huge thing for us. So for us, the challenge is to keep growing on quick commerce channels and ensure that the product reaches the length and breadth of India. Today, I was in Jodhpur a couple of months ago, which is not even a tier 2 city, it would be a tier 3 city. And it was amazing, when I looked upon Blinkit to find my products available 5 minutes away. And I was like, wow, it's really something has changed, yeah.
So certainly, India is changing, and sitting next to me is another entrepreneur who is actually working in this space of subscription model, and that too in the rental space for furniture. So Gitansh, if I ask you, we were discussing about how retail has suddenly been not doing well, and in a way subscription-led models has actually been doing well in a market like yours. So how have you navigated your way in the retail market?
No, so I think subscription. So prior to this, I was also selling furniture in a large company. So I've realized that in a subscription typically solves for the LTV of the business. So for e-commerce to work, you talk about repeat behavior. CAC is the only aspect which kind of takes your unit economics off, and hence we all speak about repeat purchases, etc., etc. And something that I realized in furniture and appliances specifically, somebody was purchasing, once in 4 or 5 years. So specifically in our model, subscription literally helped increase the LTV, in the business, because I don't have to reacquire the consumer over and over again. A consumer is coming and paying us, a handsome amount for the next 18 to 20 months. And if the CAC is low, your unit economics positive, and at scale you can make a lot of money. So just last year, I think cumulatively we have about 2 lakh active subscriptions, which over a course of several quarters will give us close to about a tied up revenue of about 650 odd crores or so. On a bottom line, that translated to almost 100 crores of EBITDA. So that's what I think subscription business pretty much gives you, a very healthy bottom line. That's what I realized.
I'll come back to you again, and before that, I'll go back to my friends in the apparel and clothing space and ask you, how has been your journey in the D2C space particularly, and when you compare different selling models across marketplace, across D2C, across offline, how has that played out for you? Akhil, you want to start?
Yeah, so for players who've been there in the market for long, so every time when you used to call it disruption, and we then learn how to go with the flow of the disruption. For example, when we were in offlines, we as a brand, when we started, we were into a B2B space. We were selling directly to retailers in the country, and then the concept of exclusive brand outlets came in, and we started opening our own exclusive stores. And that time, the MBOs thought that we have disrupted the market because they're opening our own stores. And then we penetrated into large format stores, and they said, okay, now EBOs will not be able to survive because the footfall in large formats is very different than what you bring into exclusive stores. And then the concept of marketplaces came in, and again it was again a disruptor. And when people said, okay, people will stop buying offline and only buy online, right? And now to quick commerce. So that's been the journey of the almost 2 decades now. And as brands, as companies, we navigate how we work on each of these platforms. There are set goals to work on each of these platforms. In India's scenario, I think everybody is trying to vouch to about a 20% market share from digital space who've been offline primarily. The ones who've been online primarily are trying to vouch for 20% offline space. So this is how the matrix is playing. And see, navigating through these different channels have always been challenging because everything has a different metric to operate on. Right? Marketplaces, for example, in offline space, our rentals location is the crowd puller, and that is where you invest the most. When you go to marketplaces, D2C channels, the cost of customer acquisition is where you end up spending a lot of money. So the the basic matrix again is very, very different. And as brands, every passing year, every passing this thing, we continue to learn how to work on it. For example, now quick commerce. For example, now you want to be on Big Baskets and Zeptos and God knows whichever new quick commerce comes in. And now with apparels, it is now a FOMO. That okay, X brand has launched into Zepto, Y has launched, why I'm not over there. But the cataloging, the price matrix is very different than what we used to do in an offline store and onto a Myntra's marketplace, for example. So the challenge is there, but we are fast learners, all thanks to a lot of data analytics tool available and a lot of people in the booths they hire. We work with some of them, and they're actually helping us, solve certain critical problems.
I'll just add on. I mean, I completely agree with what Akhil is saying. Every single channel has their own set of metrics, and the business case needs to be worked out accordingly. Like a D2C, it requires a lot of performance marketing, which is largely acquiring customer and ensuring that there's a lot of retention which is there. Whereas in case of exclusive brand store and large format retail, you need to ensure that consumers, you're not looking at driving footfalls into the large format retail. It's their responsibility, they'll get enough and more footfall. Idea is to ensure that you're showcasing the right kind of product for the consumers who are walking in. Each large format retail works differently. Shoppers would work differently from a pantaloon would work differently from a lifestyle for that matter. So it needs to be treated differently. Another piece in terms of the EBO puzzle is, thanks to so much data analytics and insights available, each city works differently. Within the city, each location works differently. Like a Jayanagar in Bangalore city would work differently to an HSR. We have stores in both the location. HSR would have different kind of audience, more Gen Z to the cusp of millennials. But if I go to a Jayanagar store, it would have, so the consumer offering has to be different. Each channel needs to be worked out, each P&L has to be worked out, and there has to be, and the business overall has to be taken into consideration of what is the absorption. Not necessarily all channels will be profitable. That also is a given. We are not there on quick commerce. We never wanted to jump the gun because we always thought, while we were trying to democratize fashion, we realized that fashion at least has a lot of elements. We are not selling commodities, so we stayed away from quick commerce. But Myntra plays a big role. We entered, or we started selling, on Myntra. We were largely amongst the first 5 brands to list on Myntra when Myntra started back then. The whole idea was when it started, a lot of brands would sell their old season merchandise. We always had that belief that probably this channel had the potential. We started listing fresh, displaying fresh, but like I said, you need to see overall business perspective, and then you need to evaluate which channel you need to inculcate more and try and push more. So that's what I
wanted to add to it. So taking our own story, Shobhatam's story. So as someone who has absolutely no business background, no fashion training, trying to get into a startup, marketplace seems like the least barrier to entry, right? Because everything is out there set up for you. The customer base is there, the tech stack is there, it's all out there. So in our case, it really helped us establish product market fit. So we got from 0 to 1 crore in 10 months. And that's when we realized, okay, here we are, maybe there is something meaningful to it. And, let's do something. If not for a marketplace. See, the other thing with the marketplace is discoverability, right? If not for a marketplace, we would not have got our first order from France. Think about a French woman buying a sari, right? So it helps you from discoverability perspective. You get competitive data. So when you are putting your products out there, you see all your competitors also put your products out there. So you get a lot of data that's very, very meaningful for you. And then, you iterate, go further. And then in our case, 10 months down, we thought that, hey, we have product market fit established. So it's time for brand building. So we set up Shobhutam.com. So then we went D2C. So I think every channel has its own place, a particular time. And, that's where we are right now. And through our D2C, we've been able to ship to almost 50 countries around the world. And then now we have a physical store in Bangalore. And we've also partnered with ABFRL, and Reliance to set up, a store-to-store model. So, the key thing is balancing all these to drive brand visibility while at the same time maintaining profitability.
Okay. Interesting. So Griffith, coming to you, you were giving the example of, quick commerce making products accessible and making them available everywhere. So, but how difficult it is in that market and in that competitive space to reach the path of profitability?
Well, I think as the panelists were saying, each channel is different. Quick commerce is, it's fast growing, right? We've grown 150% in the last 12 months on quick commerce. And these guys are basically doubling their dark stores. So they've had 1,000 dark stores. Blinkit had 1,000 dark stores, and they're going to 2,000 dark stores. And dark stores are basically their retail stores that they maintain. So the challenge for us is to keep growing with them. Now, the amount of money that I would spend in my D2C channel trying to acquire customers versus being on quick commerce trying to acquire customers, the challenge has suddenly gone away. For me, it is not about acquiring customers now, it is about keeping up with demand.
Yeah.
So the game has changed slightly, and that's helped a little bit in profitability because I don't have to spend that kind of money acquiring customers, but I'm spending a lot more money on warehouse solutions and trying to supply chain and things like that, right? So, so as long as your product is available, the biggest challenge on a quick commerce or an e-commerce platform is that your product has to be available constantly in all these places, right? And the way they're growing, so Blinkit, which is the #1 player in the market today, is in close to 100 cities, has around 1,500 dark stores. So how are you going to be present in all those places most of the time?
Yeah.
That's where your challenge is. So it's a supply chain challenge, and if you can meet that and if you can kind of crack that, you're profitable, right? That's how I'm looking at it, right? So for that, it meant for us to open warehouses in different cities.
Okay.
So in Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, not just Bangalore. So that's been spreading out and doing that, right? So automatically, a lot of the unit economics gets better because your acquisition, your CAC cost comes down as well, So I don't know whether I answered the question directly.
Okay. Okay, Gitansh, coming to you, what kind of learnings you have had in the Indian retail space market, and that too, how people are now moving towards the rental furniture space, and what more do you expect in this industry?
So, two things. I think two major events happened. I think one in 2016 when UPI came up, a lot of people started paying those bit-size payments. And the second catalyzer happened, post COVID, where everything was shut and the only alternatives that you had was, going to a digital space. I think that really catalyzed a lot of behavior and, that one big change that happened. I think the second change also that happened post-COVID was a lot of people started moving away from brand loyalty and going to solutions which were more, value-oriented and, which were giving them a little bit of flexibility and convenience in it. I think we are a byproduct of that. We are at the cornerstone of affordability, flexible, and convenience. Basically, what do we give? We give somebody, a guy from a small town, somebody like me who has come, who's part of our organization, who's working here, in a metro city, and when they get in, their typical first salary is about 30,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees a month, and that was my salary. And the typical cost of furnishing an apartment itself is about 2.5 lakh. And hence, credit in India is becoming huge. I think in the last 10 years itself, I think in our sector, which is furniture and appliances, EMI would be about 24,000 crores in a 3,80,000 crores overall market. So it has really come up in the last 10 years itself. I think we are slowly and gradually becoming a great alternative to that, because we are providing the benefits of a credit solution. They don't have to spend that 2.5 lakh, which is almost 7 times of their monthly salary. They can just get that solution delivered to them at their doorstep in a day. I think that's how we are also evolving with the quick commerce space which is happening. Gone are the days where you have to wait for furnishing a house for about 3-4 days. We deliver everything in about 3-4 days. But at the same time, we have a lot of benefits of subscription as well in our solution. Like when a COVID happened, a lot of people lost their jobs. They had to move back to their hometowns. If anybody who was on purchase or on a EMI then, they continued to pay for it, even though they were not using those products. So that, I think, post-COVID, people started realizing the uncertainty component that has happened, which was only propelling more and more with AI and now Mr. Trump's tariffs, etc., etc. Now, so in this kind of a market, we offer a solution of, flexibility, a non-liability product, very unlike EMI, but has the same benefits of the EMI at the same time. So that's what we are offering, and we're trying to create our own white space in a large $40 billion market.
Okay. And is sustainability also a factor wherein Gen Z is opting for this?
I don't think, with only about, very meager employment penetration that we have, only about, I think, if you look at organized, unorganized, if you include freelancers, MSMEs, they'll be close to about 16 crore folks, those who are working. In a 60 crore, those who can work. So I don't think we're there yet that people are looking and going out for sustainable products. That's not their barometer of choice. But if there are two products which are absolutely similar in terms of differentiation, absolutely similar in terms of pricing, one will definitely choose a sustainable product. And in our case, furniture and appliances is a part of circular economy. Yeah. Because whenever somebody, and that's what we are seeing these days. I think back in the 1990s, my parents would have never taken a used product. Now people are becoming more and more, okay with taking a used product, because, the brands are also doing a great job with respect to the refund, returns policies, ensuring that the, product quality is good. In our case, we are one of the largest refurbishing unit in India. We're about 1,900 people, carpenters, technicians, painters all across, and ensuring that we spend that time, energy and effort in terms of ensuring that whenever our consumers get their products, it's in prim quality. They'll not be able to differentiate between a new and an old. But they also realize now that when they take that product, essentially they're reducing the probability of getting a product manufactured as well, because it's a used product that they are consuming, which reduces the need for more number of products to be created. We, in fact, by refurbishing the product, we elongate the useful life from about 5 years to about 14 years. So, so that's what we're consistently working, and that helps cut less trees, less e-waste, etc., etc.
Sure. Though we can go on and on, but I'm getting some cues that we're short on time and we'll have to wrap up the session.